Do you consider yourself to be worldly? This doesn't include your family trip to Tampa Bay. In the circles of superheroes, there are a lot of crazy and cool characters out there fighting on their national behest. You may not have heard of the Gecko superhuman nerd from Malaysia. Grab your passport and your toothbrush, because we're hitting the road. Don't forget to show us how much you love our videos by punching that red subscription button. It just takes a nanosecond.
I shall give you my life. You and I will become one, and we will fight as one.
Ultraman. Japan always has a different take on most things. In the land of the rising sun, the subway chin rest in everyday lexicon, and we're not even talking about their superheroes yet. Ultraman has been around since 1966, and the episodes sort of played out like a dated version of Pacific Rim. Giant robot, robot, monster, repeat. You get the idea. Although Ultraman hails from Japan, he managed to make an impact in North America. The Ultraman series that was originally broadcast on TBS, the Tokyo Broadcasting System, found its way onto airwaves in America, helping to create interest in this genre and paving the way for spin-offs like the Power Rangers. You may have heard of them. As it so happens, Ultraman is the Guinness record holder for spin-off projects, including cartoons, TV series, and movies. Sandwiched in between the Ultra Q and Ultra 7 series, Ultraman is the granddaddy of live-action manga entertainment that mildly mimicked the group dynamics of the sci-fi puppet show The Thunderbirds. But the Thunderbirds didn't have Godzilla to contend with, nor did they have the healthy dose of martial arts that Ultraman boasted. Although North American censors had an issue with the level of costumed violence and pushed to tone it down a notch. Capitão Falcão, Portugal. A common thread stitching most superheroes is a concoction of their red-blooded love of freedom, liberty, justice, and democracy. Usually. However, modern heroes are also a little more complicated than that. Portugal has Capitão Falcão, which translates to Captain Falcon or Captain Hawk. And like the bird, he preys on communists. And spotting commies isn't too difficult. They look like Nintendo's Mario, and the hammer and sickle weapons are a dead giveaway. And when he spots them, he makes this face. Rumor has it that the El Capitan leans a little bit on the fascist side, but we digress. For now. But we think that we can agree that Falcão and his sidekick Puto Perdiz bear an uncanny resemblance to the seminal and campy as hell Batman TV series. A big difference is that the Capitão doesn't work for Commissioner Gordon, but moreover Portugal's former dictator, Antonio de Oliveira Salazar. We guess that's why they slathered so many gags and laughs into the movie, The Portuguese Falcon. Sort of like a laugh riot with jackboots. Well, what did you expect for a film whose tagline is "Follow Portugal's first fascist superhero, the ultra-patriotic Captain Falcon"? El Santo, Mexico. Let's not build a wall, let's build more wrestling rings. Why? Because they're freaking awesome. Then maybe we would have more luchadors bouncing around, fighting everything from zombies, vampires, the Wolfman, and Martians, and even the Bermuda Triangle. What the heck is a luchador? They are the real athletes of Mexican lucha libre wrestling, unlike Jack Black. The Mexican people's hero is El Santo, the saint in English, and rightly so because he was featured in over 50 movies. Count them! These numbers easily boost him to the tops in film history as the most prolific monster masher, masked or not. Incidentally, we don't know that Buff Dracula was a wannabe wrestler too. The pious Rodolfo Guzman Huerta, an honest-to-God luchador come actor, battled against anyone or anything evil, making him the hero of the people. Huerta achieved the level of national icon, and along with his amigos, the Blue Demon and Mil Mascaras, they are credited for popularizing wrestling in Mexico. Pretty damn good for an hombre whose wrestling career spanned almost 50 years. Since lucha libre is traditionally a family, don't count out future El Santos. Rodolfo's son took up the mantle as El Hijo del Santo, or son of the saint. Olé! Cicak-Man, Malaysia. Malaysia isn't a mecca for high-concept, slick superhero flicks, but it looks like they got there with Cicak-Man, otherwise known as Gecko-Man. They had to borrow some stuff from Spiderman, but if you steal from the best, why make your hero a lizard? Similar to Peter Parker's famous spider bite, the protagonist Hyrie, played by Seifel Apek, drinks coffee tainted by a gecko virus carrying the unknown Virus 266. Also like Parker, Hyrie was a self-professed loser before gaining his powers. The fictional South Asian metropolis of Metropolis is Cicak-Man's New York City, and of course, he needs to defend it from an evil scientist when the citizens fall ill to his virus. Cicak-Man's abilities kick in at this juncture, and wall climbing is a welcome upgrade, but hilariously, also included are chirping like a gecko and an appetite for bugs. Watch out, Spidey. Malaysia's first successful superhero movie garnered praise and criticism in 2006, but the film fared well enough to justify 2 sequels. The harshest criticism was that the film series was empty of content, soul, and lacked a visual style. Yusri Abdul Halim, co-director of Cicak-Man 3, urged audiences not to compare them to Western superheroes because their budget was a mere fraction to those Western blockbusters. Pafman. Spain. Do you want to see a hero who's a man of the slovenly and unwashed masses? Pafman from the fictional megacity of Logroño City would be him. The king of Spanish toilet humor is an unathletic and bungling doofus teamed up with an anthropomorphic cat, Pafcat. They carry out a litany of ridiculous scenarios while squaring off against an absurd amount of insane enemies. This has been their routine since the comic's origin back in 1987. The irreverent foes include a living chair which they managed to shred with termites, 400 masked but bespectacled men wearing sombreros, and El Enmascarado Negro, the Black Masked, who's a bandit with a big N emblazoned on his suit. And he possesses some remarkable powers beyond Pafman's, like being able to use an everyday ordinary construction brick and turn it into a civilization-ruining demon. I guess he doesn't need a permit to do that. The cartoon's creator, Joaquin Serra, made a crass and puny comic ripe with a barrage of jokes, puns, slapstick, parodies, and even cracking through that ever-favorite fourth wall. This sounds like Deadpool's calling card, doesn't it? Also, by quickly scanning Pafman's costume, you'll detect a slight classic-era Batman getup. He has the Dark Knight's ears, but not his talent. Number 6. Yarasa Adam. Turkish Batman. The original Adam West Batman series back in the 1960s doesn't at all resemble Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight treatment. The psychedelic 60s romp did do its job though and brought the Caped Crusader into the popular consciousness on the airwaves. And how those bat wings did flutter around the world. Turkey's Yarasa Adam was inspired and it was given a Turkish twist. You could even go as far to say that it was a Turkish delight without the powdery mess. First televised in 1973, 7 years after the wildly popular American Batman series debuted, and we can see that even then they maintained the fun, campy recipe, but with some notable changes and rampant homagery. The real Dark Knight works closely with Commissioner Gordon at the GCPD, but his Turkish counterpart and his Robin-esque sidekick work directly for the police. They aren't vigilantes in this reality, and their main purpose is to solve the crime of who is responsible for killing 10 of Turkey's most fashionable people. The creators drew from a lot of mid-century comic serials as well as popular spy shows from the 50s and 60s. So the campiness combined a lot of adult humor and even nudity. Bruce Wayne's a notorious playboy, but Yarasa Adam makes him look like a nerdy wallflower. Japanese Spider-Man. Manhattan, Tokyo, whatever. They both must be the same because they both have their own friendly neighborhood web-slinger. Well, it's true that both metropolises have their respective arachnid heroes, but a lot of the similarities stop there. The 41-episode series ran from May 1978 to March 1979 on Tokyo Channel 12. The series depicted the story of Takuya Yamashiro, a young motorcycle racer who witnesses an alien ship crashing to Earth. It turns out that the ship's from the planet Spider, and its pilot is its last survivor. Garia had come to Earth to settle the score with Professor Monster and his evil Iron Cross army for destroying his planet. To carry on with his mission, Garia injects Takuya with some of his blood and granted him some obvious and other fantastic powers. A sweet bracelet that activated his costume, webbing, and the keys to the ship that can turn into a Super Sentai-like robot. Decked out with all this swag, Takuya picked up Garia's torch to get revenge against Professor Monster and protecting Earth from his evil plots. This series sounded fun, and I'm sure the Japanese kids loved it. I wonder what they thought of the Western Spider-Man. They looked almost identical, but we're sure that they would have laughed at the Spider-Mobile. Burka Avenger. Pakistan. A lot of superheroes throughout the world will throw the book at villains, but Pakistan's Burka Avenger will literally have books and pens thrown at them. Yet the Avenger can't catch a break with some critics who slag because her burqa symbolizes empowerment and not oppression of women. We're not here to judge. The Burka Avenger's alter ego Gia wants to take down corrupt politicians and mercenaries before they can shutter up girls' schools in Halwapur, a fictional town set in the country's northern region. Gia is no wilting flower, as she's trained in the made-up martial art called tucked kabaddi, with the added left hook, book and pen attack. As a defender of the right to educate young girls, she's an inspirational teacher. The Burka Avenger has to work double time, unlike the many obsequious heroines biding their days combing their hair while waiting for Prince Charming to trot up. We're looking at you, Disney. The Burka Avenger isn't working alone though. With the help of 3 local children, Ashu, Imu, and Muli get involved in the extracurricular activity of fighting the evil magician Baba Banduk, the corrupt politician Vadero Pajero, and a host of henchmen. The Burka Avenger has aired in Afghanistan, India, and was dubbed in a variety of Middle Eastern languages. Bosman, Bosnia. The world is a very unstable place. In fact, in all of recorded history, mankind has only had peace for 8% of it. In the superhero comic and cinematic universe, it would seem that that percentage hovers around 1%. What most heroes can't say is that they exist as a direct result of a war. The Bosnian War that raged from 1992 to 95 in Bosnia and Herzegovina yielded Bosman, an everyman Bosnian super soldier fighting the Serbians in the conflict following the dissolvement of Yugoslavia. Published during the war, Bosman was a real combat companion for Yugoslavian soldiers while defending Sarajevo from Serbian forces. The Bosman issues were intended to fortify the soldiers' hope and spirits. Because, as Enis Pelivanovic, who worked on Bosman, stated, this is not a fairy tale. Even though these were dark days, the comic's sometimes ridiculous situations provided some much-needed laughs. We imagine that battlefield yucks are few and far between, but some have been directed at the Bosman himself because he resembled Superman and apparently had faster reflexes than Batman. In fact, many readers felt that he didn't even look Bosnian, but considering the dire circumstances, any levity was wholeheartedly welcomed.
You're not with the ski patrol, I'm guessing.
Captain Canuck, Canada. The Great White North has always lived under her more influential neighbor to the south, but one indie comic tried its damnedest to make a dent in Captain America's shield. Richard Comely first penned Captain Canuck back in the 1970s, and though he's not Dudley Do-Right, he may as well have been. Then, too, Dudley wasn't endowed with superpowers by a benevolent alien. Tom Evans' true north strong and free identity is concealed by his red and white costume. He acts as an agent for the Canadian International Security Organization, or the CISO, during an unbelievable paradigm where Canada is the most powerful country in the world. So, did Tim Hortons go global in this reality? He embodies a well-worn Canadianness, the decency, courage, and politeness thing. Does that sound like someone familiar? But could Captain Canuck give Superman a run in the colors? His strength and speed might notch him close to the trophy, however, we all suspect that Canuck's amicable nature would put about a ceasefire and they would become fast friends.
Sorry, AJ. I've just received an emergency message. Duty calls.
All right, come back anytime, Captain.
Well, there you have it, folks. Did we stray off the path with our list? Did the chords of patriotism strum in the cockles of your heart? Which one of these did you think was the coolest? Can you see any of these in the Marvel and DC universe? Let us know in the comments section, and don't forget to subscribe to CBR for all of our fresh and amazing videos. Thanks for watching.